Any conversation you have with your child about what they can expect to receive from God by placing their faith in Him should probably begin with salvation. Ephesians 2:8-9 says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast." That fact is the cornerstone of your child's understanding about how faith is supposed to work in their life. Faith is the means God has given us to receive His grace for salvation. But what about the life our kids live here in this world after they get saved? What kinds of things should they expect to receive from God by placing their faith in Him? After all, Galatians 2:20 says, "I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave Himself up for me." This is where our children can become easily confused. As they seek to live by faith in Jesus, exactly what kinds of provisions can they expect to receive from Him by placing their faith in Him? For example, when they're trying to get their first car, can they ask God for a new sports car? Just believe in faith that He'll give it to them and then expect that they'll just magically receive it? Can they look forward to their career? Ask God to give them a job making $1 million a month right after graduation, and then just believe in faith that God will give it to them and then just expect for it to magically happen for them? Or does the gift of faith God gave us work differently? Well, the answer to that question is yes. Genuine biblical faith works differently. There are two key principles our children must come to understand. First, faith is the means God has gifted us to receive His grace. We saw this in the example of salvation I shared with you just a minute ago. God offers us the grace of Jesus' death and resurrection for our salvation. It is a free gift. We receive that grace through faith. Once we're saved, God continues to offer us the grace of His provision, guidance, and protection, etc., so that we may have all that we need for life in this world. They are all a free gift. We receive all those acts of grace through faith. So faith is the tool that God has given us to receive all that He has done for us. Second, we can only receive through faith what God has promised to provide. There are over 3,000 promises that God has made us in Scripture. In addition, there are many other passages that describe either generally or specifically how God will respond to us or what He'll do for us. Every single one of these is an act of grace that God has offered us. They're all that we need to follow Jesus in this world. They are the provisions, the protections, and guidance that we can expect to receive from Jesus when we believe Him for them. The faith that God has gifted us is the tool that we've all been given to receive all that He's promised and provided to us. It's not a magical power that we can use to make God give us everything we want. So, how do we make that distinction clear to our kids so that they can avoid the frustration and the inevitable disappointment that comes from trying to manipulate God? Well, here's a quick and easy example that I've found useful, and you may have to adjust this a bit to make it age appropriate for your children, but here it is. Ask them to imagine two things. On their left is a table with a beautiful bottle sitting on it. Inside the bottle is a genie who will grant their every wish. On their right is a doorway. Inside the doorway is a restaurant with an awesome menu. On that menu, there are over 3,000 dishes for you to choose from. Each one is absolutely delicious, and it's guaranteed to satisfy any kind of hunger that you have. Now, if they try to use their faith to make God give them something that He didn't offer, then they're treating God like the genie in the bottle. And that, of course, is wrong. But if they use their faith to receive what God has already offered, then it's like walking into a restaurant that serves God's grace. There are thousands of different kinds of grace for them to choose from, and they can choose with confidence that they will receive whatever it is that God has promised. And God will use it to meet their need. And He will meet their need perfectly. I'm Dr. Steve Hubler with Legacy Family Ministries. Please help us keep Legacy Family Ministries videos free for all families. Become a regular financial partner by making a tax-deductible donation today.